2025 is underway and the Royals kick off the year with a huge win away at Cambridge United. Welcome back to the Royals Review Pod. I'm your host, Dan Worth, joined by Jimmy. Jim, an away win to start the year. It doesn't get much better than that. Let's quickly touch on what you think and how Reading got on and how they got the 3 points.
Yeah, I agree. 3-1, great result. Noel Hunt's first away win and Reading's third on the bounce. I thought they started poorly but grew into the match. Obviously, Nibs' first goal of the afternoon helped settle the nerves, I guess, and allowed Reading to kick on. But I think there's two standout players for me that we should chat about, and that is Harvey Nibs and Sam Smith. Obviously, the two goal scorers, but they were fantastic, weren't they?
So good. So good. The one thing I was thinking when I was watching the game, right, is this thing that we say every time we talk about Sam Smith, is that if he misses a chance, he scores the next one. Like that one where I think it was Wing who played him through, and he almost, oh no, it wasn't Wing. But anyway, he got played through and he started tripping over his own feet. And I thought, that was a massive chance. And I'm just thinking, well, he's going to score the next one. I thought it might be an easy chance he scored, but no, he just decided to whack it in on the half volley from outside the box. But fair play, they're both fantastic.
Let's talk about that. That's got to be up there with one of the best goals, the best goals of the season so far, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's definitely his best goal of the season, I'd say. Obviously, Lewis Wing's kind of got a catalogue of his own. I love that technique. Like, I don't even know what it is. Just half volley, go for it, looping over the keeper. Kind of reminds me of that Rooney goal in 2006 against Newcastle. Like, there's so many great goals that are of a similar standard to that. So yeah, I think it's definitely in the discussion. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And by the sounds of it on X as well, it is also in discussion. All I've seen is, who scored the best goal of the game week, either Sam Smith or Windass from Sheffield Wednesday. I think Smith's goal shits all over it. To be honest, mate, I don't know if you've seen Windass's goal.
I mean, Windass's goal was just a clearance, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
batters it.
Only he'll know, I guess. But I think, Smith, the technique, and the fact that it kind of just put the game to bed as well. Do you know what I mean? It was needed at the time, and I think it was a moment of magic.
Yeah, for sure. Actually saw, I think it came out this morning, an interview with Wing saying that he doesn't think it's the goal of the season contender, and he thinks he's got that wrapped up already, which is probably just a little bit of banter between the two of them, because it's definitely up there in contention. But it's quite funny that they're almost bringing it up and like they're almost like trying to outdo each other, which I like that camaraderie. So all good stuff. Nibs, then I'm going to let you talk about his goals.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they weren't as pretty as Smith's goal, but like I said earlier, it kind of switched the game around a bit. We weren't great in the first half. It was a scrappy goal just before half time, but it was just the perfect time to score, really. He's having a fantastic season, Nibs, isn't he? So to get another brace, I think that puts him on 9 goals.
If I'm right. 8 goals.
Sorry, 8 goals. He's got 8 goals and 2 assists. Smith's got 9 goals, 1 assist. I'm pretty sure they're both 10 between them.
Yeah.
But yeah, not pretty goals, but they did the job. And Nibs continues his fine season so far. So yeah, long may that continue.
For sure. One thing that I know does get picked up sometimes, but I think largely goes underrated as well, is what Nibs does off the ball. Like again against Cambridge, you see the work he puts in off the ball, getting back, helping out the defence. He's not like one of those forwards that just stays up the top and doesn't put in a shift. He made 7 tackles against Cambridge, which is at least 3 more than any other player on the pitch. Lewis Wing was the second Reading player with 2, so that just goes to show how much more he put in. And obviously, I think he actually had the most tackles in League One last season, off the top of my head. So it's not really a surprise, but I just think it's such a good trait. And we talk time and time again about how we love players that give everything for Reading and play with passion and track back and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, he is the epitome of passion, I think, and he does all of those things. So I'm a huge Nibs fan, and
Mhm.
yeah, his performance against Cambridge kind of shows exactly why I'm a huge Nibs fan. He scores goals, he gets back, he does loads of running. Like, yeah, it's everything
Yeah,
you want from a player, I think.
there's not many players like him in the league. In fact,
No.
there's probably not many players like him in general. He does so much, and it feels like we say this every week about how like vital each player is for this team. But I think he's just another example of like the best sort of player that we could have for that position, and utilizing his strengths and everything. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I completely agree. One more performance then that I wanted to talk about before we take a look at 2024 on the whole, and that is Harley Dean's performance. He obviously came in very, very late after Mbenge was throwing up in the changing rooms,
Mhm.
which I was actually thinking when I read that. I bet Mbenge was still saying, "Oh, let me play," even though he's throwing up everywhere. But anyway, Harley Dean stepped in, and I thought it was a great performance from Harley Dean. I've been quite critical of him in the past, particularly being one of the more experienced players, one of the older ones. I've questioned whether he's quick enough, fit enough, everything. But I thought he was fantastic against Cambridge United. What did you
Mhm.
make of his performance on the whole?
Yeah, again, just solid performance. I think this is. I don't know if you've got any stats which can help us say more than he just had a solid performance. But yeah, stepping in last minute for Amadou. Obviously, big shoes to fill. We know how good Amadou is. But yeah, I thought Dean was fantastic. Definitely one of his best, if not his best game as a Reading player so far.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I've got a couple of stats that stood out to me. The first one is he made 14 clearances, which is absolutely huge in a single game. That's the most of any Reading player in a single game this season. I think Reading made 52, which is their most of any game this season. And obviously he was top of that stat. So um, I mean, for a lot of the game, Cambridge were whipping in balls and just like bombarding our box. So for him to be there and clearing a lot of them is great. On top of the
Yeah, especially,
clearances,
I guess
go on.
just on top of that as well, like Michael Craig was out, wasn't he? So Holzman stepped in on that side.
Mm,
And yeah, like you just said about them sort of peppering the box with crosses, it really did feel like that side was targeted, and it makes sense. Holzman inexperienced. I thought he did fine, but I think it's fair to say that he's probably playing at a much higher level than he should be at the moment.
mhm.
But yeah, I think Dean helps out, really well in that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid performance.
Yeah, for sure. The only other stat I had was he won 100% of his aerial duels, which, as we've said, given that they were chucking balls in left, right, and centre, I think that's quite an impressive stat
Yeah, yeah.
um, for him. I think he was the only one to have a 100% record. Um, but I can't see it right now anyway. But yeah, um, fantastic from him. And it's just always good to know. Like we talk time and time again about how thin Reading squad is. So it's kind of great when a player like that comes in, fills boots. Like even when the team she came out, I was like, oh God, that's not ideal. But he comes in and he performs well. Like I think that's a massive confidence boost for just the whole team, really,
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
know
definitely.
like it's not game over when
Yeah.
we have an injury.
Fully agree.
Right then, let's talk about 2024. I know we've obviously had one game of 2025 now, but we didn't really give too much chat last episode to our player of the season, or player of the year, sorry, goal of the year, and underrated player of the year. So I'll let you go first. Um, give me your player of 2024 for Reading, Jim.
So for 2024, I think Reading's player of the year is Sam Smith. He's fantastic. We see his quality every match. Um, he's the league's top scorer for 2024. And I just think, again, he's just such a vital player for this squad. We see what he's like when he's on the pitch and when he's off the pitch. It always feels like there's something missing. So yeah, for that reason, I've gone with Sam Smith. I think he's had a brilliant year, and yeah, he's just such a good player for Reading.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've been saying it all season. I think he's probably the best striker in the league. I'm sure there's a proper debate there, and some fans of other teams will have candidates to throw in there. But I think he's so good at this level, proven time and time again already this season. Like I think he's fantastic, and as you say, he is vital. And I think even Noel Hunt said today, right, that he's vital to everything that Reading do.
Yeah.
So he is super important.
Mm-hmm.
My player of 2024. Go on. What did you say?
I said, what about you? Who are you going for then?
Well, I don't know if this will come as a surprise to anyone or to you, probably not. But my player of 2024 is the one and only Lewis Wing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the best player in League One. And I think he proved that last season and this season. In fact, he's WhoScored.com's highest rated player in 2024 with a rating of 7.4, which is obviously very high. It's out of 10 of any player to make 30 or more appearances. He ranks fourth in League One for goals and assists, so direct goal contributions with 19. Third for assists this season. Ranks fourth in 2024 for big chances created. And also, like no player this season for Reading anyway has played more minutes than Lewis Wing, which, as I mentioned, with a thin squad, that's what you really need. You need players that are going to be there when you need them. And he's played, I think it was like all bar 100 minutes, which is mental given the kind of the fixture list. As I say, I think he's the best player in League One. I think he's so vital to this Reading team, the success of it. He controls play. He drops deep. He's comfortable with the ball. He quite often is Reading's most prolific passer. He's a danger from basically anywhere in the opposition half. There's cries of shoot every time he gets the ball in the opposition half.
Mm-hmm.
He's a dead ball specialist. And you have to remember, he's basically led this squad since Andy Eardom's been injured, which to me feels like quite a while now.
Yeah.
I kind of run out of superlatives for Lewis Wing. I just think he's fantastic. Everything he does for the squad, and I really hope he stays for a long period because I think he's one of the best players Reading have had in a little while now. So yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about Lewis Wing. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're both players that if they didn't play for Reading, we would miss them massively, and we would be nowhere near where we are in the table right now. But one player that I did want to mention. Actually, sorry. We're going to go on to the most underrated player, right?
Yeah.
Well, should we do that now? Because I feel like this player ticks that box.
Go for it.
It is Joel Pereira. Yeah, I just think Pereira at his best is obviously when he's making saves, which doesn't mean that the rest of the team are necessarily playing at their best. So I feel like he slips under the radar a bit. But you know how much weaker we are with like Boyce Clark or Button in goal, and just how less confident the team looks. So yeah, like in that sense, I just think he's such a key player in this team. It gets overlooked due to his position, but just sort of installs so much confidence. I know we've mentioned it before, but like if you're aiming for something, whether it's even whether it's just staying up, you want to have a solid goalkeeper because that just makes the whole defense seem like that much more solid. But yeah, like I said, I feel like he gets overlooked. He's quality. And definitely deserves a shout out.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with you, to be honest, mate. He's actually WhoScored.com's highest rated goalkeeper in League One this season as well, which just goes to show how well he's been doing stats wise. Because I know sometimes you need to apply the eye test, particularly to goalkeepers, because sometimes they get a higher rating for making saves, which just means they've been getting peppered.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case with Joel Pereira. And as you say, I think he's so important to this squad because he probably wins us games. He stops us from losing as many games, and he keeps us in games. Like even against Cambridge, for a lot of that first half. In fact, probably for all of that first half, we were the second best team. But with him comfortably taking the long shots, coming out, etc., and grabbing crosses and things, like it instills a confidence in that back line, which I think is vital because we've seen it time and time again over the years where Reading just completely collapse under pressure.
Yeah,
and it feels like with him in between the sticks, that's starting to be a thing of the past. And obviously, like we'd way prefer that because the times where we were conceding late goals almost every week was fucking brutal. So I really don't want that to return.
For sure.
My underrated player of the year is a bit contentious because you might suggest he's not underrated. And I also have no stats to back this up, but I'm going for Amadou Mbenge. Um, what a player. Like, we talk about players that have or that play for Reading with passion. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone with as much passion as Amadou Mbenge. Like, he is fierce. That's the main word I can describe him. He's playing as centre back. When he came in, he wasn't a centre back, but he's filling a gap and he's excelling. Every time he gets the ball, he wants to bomb forward. He puts in the crunchiest of tackles ever. He's solid in the air, and just like every win we have, particularly at home, you see how much it means to him when he runs over to the crowd. And I absolutely love that. So, and Mbenge is my pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Well, I agree that with everything that you've said. He's not my pick, obviously, but I think like he offers as much on pitch as he does off pitch. Like I can imagine that he's just such a good person to sort of have around the changing room, and when you're training, keeping the mood at a certain level. Yeah, he's great. Such a rogue signing, but one that has just turned out to be fantastic.
Yeah, I completely agree. And sometimes, right, that proves one of my theories with scouting is that you don't need to go for these big names. You can find these gems. And Reading over the years always find these gems in like lower teams, like whether it's like Shane Long and Kevin Doyle coming from some rogue team in Ireland, or Amadou coming from some rogue team in France. Like, the gems are out there. And yeah, he epitomizes that, I think. Right, I don't think this one is going to take much chat, to be honest, because I think we're going to agree, and I think it's a pretty obvious answer. But what was your favourite / best goal of 2024?
Lewis Wing v Crawley, right?
Yeah.
It's a banger and will undoubtedly be in contention to win goal of the season when that comes around. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually was really trying hard then to think of an alternative, but I don't think I can. The one thing I can think of is that he scored 2 bangers in that game. And I remember when the first one went in, I was like, whoa, what a goal. And then shortly after, he just fired in an absolute belter that's curled into the top corner. We're kind of getting used to it with Lewis Wing now, so I'm maybe not quite as excited as I would have been a year ago. But as I said in my Player of 2024 speech, he just has that in his locker. Like, every time he gets the ball on the edge of the box, you're just thinking, have a shot. Like, this is probably going to go in. So yeah, I think we both agree. Let us know what you think at home, because I think that's quite an obvious answer. If you've got any others, or even if you just like another goal for a lovely reason, like it was your first Reading game or whatever, let us know, because I'm keen to hear that. That's it for another week. Obviously, we're off to Charlton on Saturday, so there'll be more content coming your way, and we'll review it as usual at the start of next week, probably. Thanks very much, as ever, for joining. Do like, follow, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Jim, thanks for joining me, mate. I'll catch you on Saturday.
See you
Come
Saturday.
on, you R's!